So for this tutorial we're going to look at the figure 8. This would be the figure 8 with the wrist rolls. There are two wrist rolls. There is the front to back wrist roll, which is like this, and the back to front wrist roll, which is like this. I'm not going to go into too much detail with the wrist rolls. It's you need to have a good understanding of both those wrist rolls before attempting this. It's also combined with the figure 8, which is the standard figure 8, which is like this. If you don't know how to do either of those, it's probably best to check out some tutorials and get a good understanding of each of those moves, because you're going to need to know these wrist rolls pretty well before attempting it. And then it's just a matter of putting them together and understanding the motion of the figure 8. I mean, figure 8 can be quite confusing to understand where you got to go with them. So I'm going to break it down, and the first thing we want to do is, if you're using your left hand, the first side you want to go to is your right. If you're using your right hand, the first side you want to go to is your left. So whichever side you got a nunchuck in, you go into the opposite side. It's going to feel natural anyway, so you shouldn't get too confused with it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to slash up to 12 o'clock, and as you slash up to 12 o'clock, you want to, as you're turning, you want to kind of pivot your waist a little bit, not too much. You just want to go with the nunchuck slightly, just to get that right angle to do the spin. Otherwise, it can go off at an angle and you might miss catching it. So as you're doing the turns, just pivot your waist slightly, and you want to go up to 12 o'clock, down to 6 o'clock. So you're always going from 12 to 6. 12 to 6, 12 to 6, from 6 to 12, and from 6 to 12, like that. So you go up to 12, down to 6, to this position, and you want to do the front to back wrist roll, like that. And from there, you want to go from 6 to 12, slash up, down, do the other wrist roll, a back to front wrist roll, like that. And then you want to slash up again. So as you see, you're just doing that figure 8, and that figure 8 is the number 8 but turned to the side. So all you're doing is you're drawing it with the nunchuck, like that, and then you're combining it with both the wrist rolls. So you're going up and then down, wrist roll, up, down, wrist roll, and you've got the two wrist rolls, front to back and back to front. So as you go up and down, you've got the wrist roll, you go up, down to the other side, you've got the other wrist roll, and then you want to just start off like that first. Do the wrist rolls. Do the wrist rolls how you would normally. Normally you do the wrist rolls like this, but you want to do them from the side now, like this. It's not going to be too much more difficult. It's probably going to feel the same. And then you just want to get the hang of which motion to go in. So I mean, you're going up, down, like this, and down to up to the other side, wrist roll, up to down, wrist roll. Just keep doing that. That's all you need to do for now. It doesn't have to look like anything at first. You just want to get the to know which direction to go in, and eventually you start to quicken it up. And it might look a bit loose at first, which is fine. That's probably how it look at first. It might look a little bit sloppy, but once you've got the motion of it, it's just a matter of practicing it and just getting the feel for it. Another point you want to look into is this one might be hard. It might be hard to understand, but once you actually practice it and get the feel for it, it'll make more sense when you're actually doing it. But what you're doing when you're here and you do the first wrist roll, and you go up and do another wrist roll. With this, you want to flick it round. Now the best way to explain it is you wanna kind of hook your elbow around, and then what it's doing is it's going up like that. So if you imagine it's going like that, it's like an extra spin, but you're only putting it in on the one side, on the side that you start off on. So when you're on the opposite side, it's just the usual background. But when you're doing this one, you want to hook it round. Now, the best way to do it is you just want to just hook your elbow around first. If you're just hooking your elbow around, a bit like an elbow. So if you just throw the elbow around, it should just spin round like this, and you can feel the momentum behind it, and that'll bring it round to do that. That's the next thing you want to look at. Once you've got the first step down, the one I showed you like this. Once you've got that down, and you can move it around slowly, slightly. And once you've got the feel for it, once you've got that down, that's when you want to start looking into this extra spin. You're hooking your arm around it, it just spins around like this. This is all you're doing. It's hard to do it slow. So you're just hooking that elbow around to get the nunchuck up like this, and you're spinning it round. So what you have is this, and that one goes round like that. So you go. And you can make this one nice and tight then. I mean, it's spinning in the direction that it's only going to go in one direction. So if you do it like this, you can see it's already spinning in the direction it needs to go. So if you're doing it correctly, it should just flow. And if you can master this, forget about this one, you can just master that. Bring it to there, do that one, hook that one round, ignore that next spin, you don't need that one, and then that'll come round and you stop, do that one, and try and do this one a bit quicker, do that one slow, like that, and just hook it round. As you can see, this one's spinning round, ready to do that one, so eventually it just comes natural. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. It's quite complicated. I remember it took me a while to get it. I got the hang of it quite quick, but it took me a few months to get it to how it is now. It was quite sloppy at first. I mean, I was getting it, and it was just real sloppy and loose. And I'd probably do about 4, maybe do 4, and then I'd probably end up dropping it, and it'd just be all over the place. I mean, it was just all over the place at first. So I remember. It wasn't very central. I mean, this one would be here, and then this one would be down here. And this one would be, sometimes they'd be really loose, but that's just, it's a hard move to learn, to be fair. And it is just getting the feel of it. Obviously, a shorter rope helps. It took me a while to find this one. The ones that I've started practicing with were quite long. I think they were like 6 or 7 inches long. I can't remember now. But they may be like 5 or 6 inches long, and they were too long. And this one. This is probably the best one I've found, and yeah, it took me a while to come across a good one. To be fair, I couldn't find any with a short rope. So if you're struggling, maybe the rope's too long. I mean, if I tried using a long rope now, I'd probably struggle with it now. All the practice I've had doing it. I mean, a short rope definitely helps. Maybe 4 inches. 4 inches is a great size rope. The bars, I've started using 10-inch bars now. I used to use 12. Which I thought were fine, and then when I went from 12 to 10, it's even better. I don't think I could even go back to a 12 now. So I mean, a short rope I'd definitely recommend, but where's the bar? It could be personal preference. I mean, I was fine with a 12, and then but going on to 10, a shorter bar, I realised how much better it was. So I definitely recommend a shorter rope. Otherwise, it's going to be a nightmare trying to practice with it, and it's just trying a few. I had to buy quite a few before I came across one that I actually felt comfortable with. And these are definitely the best ones I've come across, to be fair. It could do with a bit more weight. It's, you know, it'd be nice to have a bit more weight to it, but other than that, it's a pretty good nunchuck, to be fair. So, I mean, I think I've gone through all of it. You know, it's quite frustrating. It's quite a frustrating move to learn. But it's probably the best one to learn, to be fair. And then once you've done that, practice with the other hand. You'll find that once you've gone to a level like this where you can do it slightly, maybe 5 times without dropping it. Once you've got to that point, it might be worth practicing it with your hand. It doesn't actually take as long as it does with your good hand. You know, with nunchucks, it's with martial arts. I kind of neglected when I started doing martial arts. I kind of neglected my my weaker leg, which I kind of regret now. I didn't actually practice it much until about the first 3 years, and it's always best to practice both sides as much as each other. But yeah, I neglected my my weaker leg and just concentrated on my stronger leg, doing like back kicks, doing like power kicks from the back leg, and just what felt easy at the time, and I was kind of neglecting my weaker side. But I'd advise with a nunchuck to start practicing with both hands at an early stage, because with nunchucks you're constantly switching. You don't want to get stuck with just one hand. You want to be able to switch. So you want to be able to use both hands as good as each other. It doesn't take that long to learn it with the other hand, not like most things. Yeah. Once you've gotten to a good level with the figure 8 on the good hand, you know, try it with the other hand. Try and get that to a good level as well before moving on to another trick. So yeah, I think I've covered everything with it. It is just putting the 2 wrist rolls together. Once you get those 2 wrist rolls and that figure 8, you know, I haven't gone through the wrist rolls and the figure 8 too much. I haven't gone into too much detail with them because they're separate tutorials really. I mean, I think there are a lot of tutorials on those on YouTube. So yeah, I haven't bothered doing a tutorial for those because there's already loads on there, and you don't want to start this tutorial until you've learnt those. I mean, once you know which direction you're going in for this, you can learn it in a matter of minutes. And the wrist rolls, it's just a matter of practice. I mean, it might look a bit sloppy at first. I know mine did. And you might want to do that. And this one's a little bit harder actually. I mean, I remember those are the steps you take. You spin it, and then catch it, and then you flip it, and then catch it, and you just and then at first it might look a bit sloppy. That's how it'll look at first. If you can't do the wrist rolls, and it's just like anything. You just practice it, and you get good at it. But you definitely want a short rope. So see how you get on with that one.